So good morning, everybody. This is our 19th session, and today we are going to concentrate on Safe Scrum Master. I decided to concentrate on the Safe Scrum Master because there are a lot of roles coming up as Safe Scrum Master these days. In as much as a Scrum Master is a Scrum Master for the most part, I want to dive in specifically today to what makes a Scrum Master, or should I say, what else do you need to know if you were to see a Scrum Master role, a safe Scrum Master role, to then make you comfortable to apply for it, because it's very similar. It's just about 10% difference, okay? So what makes it different is what I want to concentrate on today and tomorrow. So, but a quick recap. And what I want to do now is I want to put us in two groups. So I'm going to create, where's my breakout room? This thing just does what it likes sometimes. Okay, breakout room. I'm going to put us into breakout room, but before I do that, let me just stop that for a minute. Before I do that, Dodie, are you using your laptop or your phone?
My laptop.
So can you please take a picture of this recap one, please? Can you take a picture of it with your phone, please?
Oh, right. Okay. I'll do that.
And then, Sylvia, are you using your laptop or your phone?
Yeah, Mary, but I can't share your screen. I'm not seeing your screen.
No, are you using your laptop or your phone?
I am, but I have my laptop, I have my phone here, but I'm using my laptop.
Okay, so can you take a picture of group 2 with your phone?
Is it on? Because I can't see it.
Oh, am I not sharing my screen?
I don't think so.
Oh, and you didn't say
no.
Oh,
No, I
sorry.
thought we were preparing.
I could see your screen.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm sharing now. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, Sylvia, please take a picture of group 2.
Could you go back to group 1, please?
Okay, just a minute.
All right.
Bear with me. Okay, this one is for you, Dodie. Take a picture of it. Once you're done, let me know.
You have to bring my back in. Bring group 2 back.
Done.
Yeah, okay. And then Sylvia, please take a picture of this.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Done.
Okay. So now I'm going to put us in 2 breakout rooms. So I'm going to create 2 rooms. Manually, I'm going to assign people manually. Create rooms. Okay, so breakout room 1, I will have Deji, Dele, Henry, Ndidi. That is breakout room. Let's see. Shola. Yeah, that's fine. Shola and yeah, that's fine. So breakout room 1, I have assigned people. Breakout room 2, I have Franca, Grace, Henry, Sylvia, and Tunde. So yeah, so I'm going to open all rooms now. Can you still hear me? Can everybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I want you to do is just have a conversation, you know, as a recap. What is a spike? What do we mean by definition of ready? You know, just have that conversation amongst yourself as a recap, okay? So it's open now. So do you have it now? Join the rooms, please. Sylvia, are you in a room?
Yeah, I'm here.
Aha. I'm not sure what we're supposed to be doing, though.
Okay, just bear with me. I'll tell you what.
Okay. Right.
Okay, it's a recap. So how many people do we have in this room? We have, okay. So what I want you to do is just a recap. Ndidi, you took a picture of it. So talk about it. Okay. So just recap on that. What does this mean? What does that mean? Just a recap. Okay. Okay.
All right. Okay. Technical debt. Group 1. It looks like it's just Dele and I on here.
There's Shola here too. Shola is there.
Shola.
And I think I need to, let me leave.
Okay.
Are we
So
comfortable with what we need to do here? Yeah.
apart from
Yes.
just
Do we need to make notes or something, Mary?
Just
Or
a
we just
recap. I just want you to
just recap,
recap.
just
We don't need
discuss
to make
it.
notes
Yeah.
or do any
oh,
presentation.
got you.
Just recap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And everybody should try and contribute, please.
Bring back thoughts. Okay. So what is spike? What is a spike?
Are we group 1 or group 2?
2.
Group 2.
Group 2. This is group 2. Okay.
Well, group 2. Can I go?
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
give my own?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So, because I'll try not to say too much. Okay, because in Agile, Spark is when you have a user story that is so difficult to estimate the
Oh,
No, that ready means it's ready to the sprint is. I mean, the story is ready to be.
yeah, to be
acted upon.
presented.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But done is
But-
when you've actually completed it.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, done is when you've completed the sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. That done is definition of ready is before from the backlog, the story to sprint is ready for sprint. So
Exactly.
definition of done I thought was
When it's been
after
completed.
the sprint.
Mm.
Yes, and I think after we've all maybe after they've done the retrospect on something or something like that.
Okay. Okay, that's definition of done.
I think so. I'm not sure.
You always at the back.
But I think it's at the end of sprints.
It's at the end of the sprint, eh? Okay.
You are right there, Dele. Not after the retrospective. Definition of done means that it meets the acceptance criteria. Okay.
Okay.
It meets. So, for example, if a tailor gives you your dress and you try it on and it doesn't fit well, it's not done, is it?
No, it's not.
So for you to accept that dress and walk away and say, thank you, Mr. Taylor, that dress fits. So for any story to be accepted by a product owner, it means it has, all the boxes have been ticked. It meets all the criteria. That is definition of done. And I think I heard you right on your definition of ready. So your definition of ready is what determines whether its story will end up in your what?
The sprint.
In your sprint backlog. So essentially, you will be able to take it in that sprint. So because if a story is not ready and you take it into your sprint, you're going to be now looking for more information about that story, isn't it? Exactly. Okay. So we try as much as possible to make sure that by the time we take a story from the product backlog, based on the product owner's requirement, by the time we take it into our sprint backlog so that we can work on it in our sprint, it meets the definition of ready. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Mary. Then the next one on the list is, what are we trying to achieve when we map stories? What are we trying to achieve when we map stories?
Everyone should try and contribute, please. These are the things that will help you during your interviews. The fact that you had these conversations, it will commit to your memory some answers when you go for interviews, please. So please participate. No,
Can you
there's
repeat
no wrong
that,
answer.
please? Can you repeat that, please?
What are we trying to achieve?
Testable.
Criteria.
Yes. It's the opposite of spike.
Yeah.
Because the reason why there's a spike is because the story was not understood.
It means definition of ready means that you can take a story and you know that, okay, this story is ready to go into the sprint. It is actionable right now. You can start, the team can actually start to work on it straight away. So that means that story is ready to come into sprint.
It's estimatable.
It's estimatable at that time.
It's testable.
And the whole team needs what to be done to make sure, it has a definition of done. It knows it is ready to be implemented. We know exactly what we are going to do about it. So that way that story is ready to come into,
And, so I also remember that we're told that the format, the invest format will help us in getting the story ready. Invest as in
yes, that's the process of getting ready, isn't it?
Yeah, negotiable, valuable now. It should be estimated. So one would expect a story to be ready when the user story is properly defined, user story acceptance criteria is properly defined. We know the dependencies are identified, if there's any, it's been sized, the Scrum team accepts user experience artifacts. These are some of the things that are needed.
And it's testable.
Yeah, I think when something goes wrong.
She's just listening. She's just listening.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know who that is. Okay, I can't see the guess.
I mean, Defed is
when
something goes wrong with our
yeah, you guys are doing great.
With the product, we're trying to.
Mobola, they are just doing a recap on different aspects. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think that's it. We had 4 items on the list.
What was the last one?
What are we trying to achieve when we map stories? That's the last one. So we first did the technical debt. Then defects, none of us knows about that. I don't recall defects. And then definition of done. And the final one was, what are we trying to achieve when we map stories?
So what are you trying to achieve when you map stories? What was the answer to that?
I think you said when we try to gather all the elements, when we try to learn all the intricacies.
All the requirements, like this, yes.
Huh?
No, when you are mapping it, when you are mapping stories, it means you're bringing different stories together. That's what you're doing. You remember that diagram I showed you with a line going across several stories? That's mapping. I'm trying to map stories. Why am I doing that? I can't just take random stories that are not logical together. Do you get it?
Yeah.
I want to, develop a functionality, and we have different stories. I need to pick certain stories to work on together so that it can give me that functionality. It can give me that functionality. There are different stories in order for me to achieve a particular feature.
Yes.
Okay. But remember, we are working with MVP, minimum viable increment.
Yes.
MVP. So for the first MVP, in order for me to achieve a particular goal, what are the stories I need to bring together? If you remember, if we go back to our website, we were going to develop a website, but our first activity was sign up or something like that. But we also took a story from About Us.
Yes.
So we have all these epics. All these epics have been broken down into stories. I may need to map some stories from different epics in order for me to achieve a particular goal. So if I go back to our website, from the sign up epic, the stories under sign up, I took some stories from there. The stories under About Us, I took some stories from there because, for example, the picture of the university came from About Us, not from the sign-in epic. Do you see? Why? Because we want to develop a landing page that will show what our university looks like in terms of the picture. And at the same time, we want visitors to have the ability to sign up, right? That is what mapping is all about. Because if I do only the stories under sign in or sign up, and do I then want to give them a blank page without a picture of what our university looks like? Do you get it?
Yes.
Exactly. So it's about being able to bring things together that make sense as a function. Okay? Okay, so then defect. You talked about defect. What is a defect? A defect means something hasn't worked well. Okay? It's not functioning the way it ought to function. But if I give you a chair, for example, I'm a carpenter, I made you a chair and there's a nail sticking out on that chair. That's going to hurt you, right? So that's a defect right there. That chair hasn't been done properly. That's a defect. But in software terms, you may not see this defect. So it's a bug. It then manifests itself in a function not working properly. So take, for example, there's a defect in the sign-up bug, in the sign-up function. I sign up on your website. I'm supposed to get an email, but I don't get an email. That's a bug. Mm-hmm. That is a bug. Sometimes you hear them call it a bug. Sometimes you hear them, it's called a defect. And in our development environment, that is why we do testing, so that we can detect these bugs before it gets into production. Before it gets into our production environment. That's why we have different types of testing, unit testing, acceptance testing, different types of testing, as much as possible to avoid our bugs, to avoid our defects traveling far, too far into our pipeline. And the last thing we even want is we don't even want it to get to our production environment, because it can cause a lot of damage. It could be financial damage. It could be reputational damage. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to just go and check out the other room and then bring us all back together.
Okay.
Okay.
Product backlog in order to have a functionality delivered to a customer. So it's like a technique of taking bits of all from the product backlog, just taking bits from each user stories and delivering in slices to the customer. I think it's more,
yes,
it's more of taking a bit of everything.
Everything,
yes. From the product backlog, not from the sprint. That was what I was trying to explain.
It could be from the sprint. It could be from the sprints, because let's consider what we are doing.
More from the product backlog.
We slice the stories so that we pick from different, so that we can deliver a minimum viable product faster, and that is testable, and that can be innovative.
And that the cost value.
But the stories are sliced into a release.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the stories are broken down from the backlog, so that the epics are broken down into stories. Okay. And then these stories or features or whatever are then sliced to be put into a release, where the release will be ready for a sprint. For one sprint.
Yes, all that is correct, but why are you slicing?
Slicing, yeah.
Everything you are saying is correct, but why are we slicing vertically? That is the whole point. Remember the cake?
Yes.
When you talk about slicing, just remember the cake.
Yeah, so we can have a bit of every.
A bit of everything,
we have
to
a bit
deliver
of
a functionality. Yeah. I keep remembering that.
That is it. That is it. That is it. Let's go back to the main room. Great. So I hope that helped in trying to just remember some stuff. It's always a good idea to juggle our memory every now and again. So
it did, because I've not seen the video again, so it did. Thank you so much.
And this is why I say,
jolted.
Yes, it jolts your memory, and this is why I say, you know these things. You just need to find yourself in that situation to know that actually I know these things. And then sometimes you may not be perfect in your explanation, but then again, the discussion then reinforces that for you, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let us start with, let me share my screen again and go to my slide. Okay, so we've done our recap. Now let's look at, let me just be sure I'm still recording. Yes. Now let's look at Safe Scrum Master, because you may well end up in this environment. Who knows? Who knows? So a Safe Scrum Master is responsible for facilitating the use of Scrum, maybe and Kanban. It could even be XP to deliver products. Responsible for integrating Scrum practices into an organization, just like you would as any normal Scrum Master. You will facilitate Scrum and Kanban as any normal Scrum Master, whether it's safe or not. Within a safe environment, you might be requested, well, you will need to support program execution, because the whole point of safe is that we are bigger than just one team. We have several teams, okay? So support program execution through collaboration with other roles and stakeholders. You will be coaching agile teams, and you will be required to plan for big meetings called PI planning. PI planning means program increment. That is what PI planning means, program increment. Now, what is the purpose of scaling, of a scaling framework? Anybody? What is the purpose of a scaling framework? Oops. What is the purpose?
From my understanding, because I worked in program management, it's the purpose of it is to bring together governance that would help all the teams to work in a specific manner that will make all their that will make management able to see what they're doing.
Fantastic.
On a higher level.
Fantastic. Organizing, governance, that is the whole point of scaling. We want to be able to organize what is going on and know what is going on when, what are the dependencies, you know, how do we support this all the activities that are going on, governance. However, not governance in the traditional sense, but governance more in terms of support and enabling and creating an enabling environment, not the traditional command and control kind of governance, okay?
Absolutely. So that would be program management.
Yes,
the waterfall. It's exactly parallel to program management,
fantastic.
But it's different mindset in scaling.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I just want to stop sharing for a minute. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Share my screen again. Go here. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. Just bear with me, please. Why do I have this here? Okay. Okay, so can you see my screen again? Can you see my screen again?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
We can.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, another activity, we're going to go again into a room, but this time everybody will be in one room. Can somebody take a picture of this, please? Can somebody take a picture of it? And then I'm going to put us in a breakout room one more time, but this time everybody goes in one room. Has somebody taken a picture of it?
There's some picture. It's not.
I took a picture.
Okay. Actually, let us go in two rooms. Let us go in two rooms. Can the same people take a picture of it? Did you take a picture of it?
There's a black box smack in the middle of my screen from your end.
Okay, okay. Can you see it now?
Oh, yes, it's better.
Okay. So did you take a picture of it? Sylvia, take a picture of it, and then we're going to go into the same breakout rooms we were in before, group 1 and group 2. Okay, are we good?
Yeah.
I'm not covering everything.
Yeah, the very last point.
I don't know.
Okay, let me make it smaller. Let me make it smaller.
Is that men's group leader you wrote there, Mary?
Let me see. Let me make it smaller. Let me not go into. Let me make it smaller and then.
Okay.
There you go. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
It's kind of blurry.
It's blurry. My screen is clear.
Okay, let me see what I've got.
A king heads the community. Each tribe has a chief, youth leader, women group leader, and men group leader. Have we got that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let me put everyone. Let me.
Conflict coming in us and outside.
Put everyone in. Oops. Breakout room. I'm going to put you in exactly the same breakout rooms. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I have messed things up. Just bear with me.
Okay.
Sylvia should be here. I shouldn't have touched that. So what happened? Unassigned person. There's somebody unassigned. Who is unassigned? Done. Assigned to breakout room 2. Okay. You know what? Let me close all rooms. I don't know what all breakout rooms will close in 13 seconds. Just bear with me. I want to start all over again. I don't know why that didn't work the way I expected it to work. So, okay. Okay, now I have opened all rooms. Are you getting a message?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. Okay, so let me join. Okay. We should have more people join this one.
Seems we have just 2 of us.
Yeah, there should be more people here, so I don't know why. Let me join the other one and see. Okay, they are joining. Okay, so let me go to breakout room 2.
The conflict coming in as an outsider. So imagine a conflict within a community of 8 tribes. How would you resolve? How would you go about engaging to help resolve the conflict coming in as an outsider?
And somebody should present when we come back into the main room, please. I forgot to mention
Mary.
that. Yes, just 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes presentation. Nothing long.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Really sent us back to
Mary. Where are we now, Mary? She's not talking. We can't hear you.
Dottie, you have the question now.
Yes, but it's just Tunde and I that are in this room. Oh.
Dawn is here.
Yeah, I can hear you, Mary, but I'm not hearing the rest. Well,
I can hear you, Don. Can you hear me?
I can hear you too, Don.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I can.
Let me add more people to your room.
Okay. Yeah, there's 3 of us here then.
Okay. That is strange because where's Mobola? Where's the other? Oops.
I thought you were returning us to the room we were initially.
No. I want you to work in 2 groups.
Okay.
Oh.
Is this breakout room 1 or 2?
Yours is breakout room 1.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll just go ahead then.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have the activity here. I'll just read it out. Imagine a conflict within a community of 8 tribes. How would you go about engaging to help resolve the conflict coming in as an outsider? Where will you start? How will you go about things? A king
question. So you have the main issue is that there's a community of 8 tribes. They're having a conflict. You've come in as an outsider. You probably is expected to engage and help them resolve it. But in doing that, how would you approach it? Because there's a king who is the head of the community. There's also these individuals who have key positions. Each tribe has a chief. They have a youth leader, they have a women group leader, and they have a men group leader. So how would you approach the situation? I think that first of all, like you said, as an outsider, you would, the first thing you have to know is that you need to understand what this conflict is about. And then the second thing, that because you have these key individuals involved, I think that you would probably want to get more from them. as in what is the problem, what have you done, what is going on, you know, asking those questions that would give you good understanding before you can bring in your own common sense and your own way of doing things to help resolve it. But
about where would we start? How would we go about helping them solve or resolve a conflict? Where would we start? So do we start with the king who heads the community? Or do we start with each of the chiefs that head the tribes, each of the tribes? Do we start with the youth leaders? Do we start with the women group leader or the men's group leader? So maybe we're supposed to be applying our agile here and as Scrum Master. What do you think? I think we've lost Don again. Oh?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So,
it's really quite interesting. It's interesting, but
I know this is. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, is Henry with us now? Henry seems to be with us now. Henry is with us.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, Henry.
Okay, Henry, did you hear? Okay, should I read it again, Henry? The activity. Did you hear me, or should I read it again?
Read it again. I just joined.
Okay. All right. Imagine a conflict within a community of 8 tribes. A community of 8 tribes.
Let's just continue. I have the pictures.
No, he's got the picture.
Okay, good. You've got it. Okay, good. So how would we go about engaging to help resolve the conflicts, coming in as an outsider? Where would you start?
Where would start? The community is quite big. It's quite diverse. So they must all have a common agreement. They must work in alignment for them to succeed as a group. So that's where alignment comes in. So for them to align, they must have a operating procedure, which means they must all have an agreement. So they have to come together to draft out an agreement, just like a constitution that binds them together. And that constitution must clearly define everyone's role within this community, everyone's responsibilities. So I think they all need to work in alignment.
So where would you start now? So since they have a chief that heads each of the tribes, there must be some kind of, they must go to him for certain decisions. And then maybe he also goes to the king or whatever. He's the representative of the community.
I will start by educating them on the need to work in alignment, then help them work together. So, which means they must all understand their role. The chief might not understand his role. Maybe that's why there's chaos. The chief must understand that this is what you need to do before you take the matter to the people might not even know the responsibility of the chief. They might go straight to the king.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to understand their roles within this community. So we'll help them by drafting an agreement that this is how we are all going to work going forward. This is who we report. Yes, this is who we report to. This is how.
So the things that cause all these things.
Basically, you bring them together, you help them identify points of agreement or points of disagreement.
Disagreement, yeah.
And then you help them prioritize on areas of conflict so that you can then talk about it and develop come up with a plan on how they can work together and resolve the conflict. So more or less as
a piece of work that I think that we should have made it quite relative to what the question is, personally. But we'll go with whatever.
Oh, what's the question?
That's what we're.
No, please.
That's what I read to you. It's a tribe community with 8 tribes with conflict, and you've come in as an outsider. They have leads, and how would you engage and help them resolve? So I know it's a Scrum training and it's relative, but you know, I think that we should have probably focused a bit more on what
we did, but I just want you to say, why do you think we didn't focus on it, so that we can know what happened? Why do you think we didn't focus on it?
Because I think that we should have focused on it, because focus on the tribe, how you speak to the tribe leaders, and what you would bring into it rather than Scrum Master. But
no,
like I said,
exactly
it's still a Scrum.
Whether it's a tribe,
scenario,
it's 8 tribes or 5 tribes or whatever, a tribe leads or youth lead or whatever, you still need to identify what the issues are within each of the communities. With each of the tribes. You need to identify them. You need to get them to talk. You need to speak to each one to be able to identify their conflicts. And then you
king, who's the head of the 8 tribes of the community, wants. It's just aligning what those are my thoughts. I'm sorry, I just had to align it with
going by what you just said, I would probably align it to what we've been taught.
Yes.
I think it's more of I will align it to a safe environment. Yeah.
Yes.
The youth leader, the women's leader, will form the what I'll call the what am I trying to do? The teams. They'll form the teams. Yeah. Why the tribal chiefs? I also see the tribal chiefs as the program part of it. Why the king?
Yeah.
The tribal, no, the king will now be like the portfolio thing, yeah. So it will cascade down.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay.
To resolve the conflict, what we expect the portfolio part of it. That's the king.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
You know quite well. Okay. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get. Yeah. So it's good. We keep building on everybody's ideas, and I hope we're getting closer to what Mary is expecting.
Yes, so, I think this can be compared to a safe environment where we're trying to learn. So from portfolio down
from the teams down to the.
But it's also very important that whatever solution we are developing comes from the community, and we don't try to impose, our own ideas, or let them develop their own solution, which is very, very key.
Absolutely.
Something they can identify with. So looking at probably what has been operating in the past that is working, and then you're trying to just
Okay. I hope we did good on this one. Just to find the technical terms to use. Just like you're struggling.
Do you think that those points of agreement that you've now identified, I wouldn't bring that to the meeting. I would just have that, and then when they all come together and then they're talking, would use that what they're saying to say, okay, so we all agree on this. Am I right? And then so that it's more transparent. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so it doesn't look like you favored one person above another.
No, don't forget you are bringing together the common goals, that the common things that they all agree to get on. There's always one thing that they all agree on, but it's just how to go about it that is there.
I know. I'm just
so
saying
you start with the positive and then you go on to the negative.
Isn't it a good idea for you to let them talk first within that meeting of everybody?
Oh yes, you let them talk.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, I misunderstood you.
I just want
to talk first, and then in that meeting, while they are talking, you identify what you think is a common factor that they've all agree on.
Exactly. That's my idea as well.
Okay. Oh, no, yes. That's it. Okay. Sorry, I didn't understand. Yeah, sorry.
You need a conflict management skills to manage every conflict, regardless of the environment you find yourself in. It's just the mindset that you would use to approach that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that conflict management is what we've just discussed. So yeah, that's what that conflict management protocol or whatever is what we have just been discussing.
From the exercise is the safe environment in Agile. That's what I can deduct from it.
Yes.
You must work in alignment. You must collaborate.
Yes.
That's the only way any team can be successful, quite honestly. Gone are the days of is it what's it called, command and control?
Command and control.
Yes, even in a village setting. It's slowly creeping up, but they won't get the results they want.
It can be applicable to to just any type of
a less modern community. Yes. Oh, interesting. I would never have thought of this kind of question. Is this the kind of question they'll ask us?
Okay, I think we're all back in the main room now.
Okay.
I think we're all back in the main room now. So how was that?
That was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Group 1, that is Doddy's group, I think. Just give us like a 3-4 maximum 5 minutes account of how you want to go about these, any great points you want to share.
Yeah. Tunde, you want to go? Or should I go? Okay, Tunde is not there. Okay, so what we finally agreed was that it's similar to what you're trying to teach us about the scale, the safe Scrum method, this safe Scrum Master, and the scaling is actually related to the scaling that you taught us last week, and how there are so many different levels of leadership before you get down to the teams, the development teams. So each person is represented, like you have the youth leader, the chief, the women's group and the men's group leaders. So those ones, they all come together and decide on what they want to pass on to the groups. So it's the scaling method. It's scaling. I'm not communicating this as clearly as I would like to.
Somebody else can chip in your group.
Yes.
Yeah, I can step in there, Dundi.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like I mentioned, after speaking, I think I thought about something based on what we've been taught, actually looking at the scaled agile framework, the safe agile framework environment, sort of. So I just came up with something like, I will look at the king as being the portfolio, and then look at the tribal heads as the programs, then look at the women, youth, men leaders as the Scrum teams. I mean, these various groups obviously have issues that are common within their groups, and they can discuss it and feed it back up to the tribal heads, that is the program, and then from there that goes up to the king, and that probably may help resolve the conflict. In short, that's the way I look at it based on what we did last week or week before.
And that's what we agreed on our team, actually. It's just that I didn't communicate it quite as clearly. And it started off with Shola's idea. Was it Shola's idea? And then we built up on different was it? No, well, Shola kind of triggered all the discussions, and then there was, other discussions, other inputs, and then we finally arrived at the safe thing. which was finally Tunde's actually. We built up on each other's suggestions and came up with that an agreement that it was the safe scale agile framework that would solve the conflict.
It was relatable.
Yes, very. Relatable. It made it quite clear. Yes.
Okay, so what would you consider a challenge here?
The challenge would have to be.
I think we considered the fact that we won't try to impose a solution for the community. So making sure that, they also have their input as to how they've been doing things before, because if you come in with any foreign ideas, they might resist. So trying to make them solve their own issues rather than imposing on them.
That's more like an approach. But in terms of if you were to, in reality, if you were to come and do this, what is the challenge you think you might have?
An aversion to change.
Yes, that's one, which we will always have in a change environment. What else could be challenging for you? Trying to navigate and, engage with people at different levels. I've sort of answered it for you, really. It's the organization. How do you coordinate? How do you coordinate all of that? That will be challenging. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. That was 5 minutes there. The remaining 5 minutes for group 2, please. Thank you very much, group 1.
Okay. All right, so for group 2, we've looked at the question and we've taken it like, okay, you're coming in and there are different tribes, because it says there are 8 tribes. So we've looked at more like a real life scenario of whereby different tribes have different perceptions of what needs to be done. So there is a conflict, and you're coming in as you're coming in new into the organization. The first thing to do would be to establish communication with each of the tribe, with each of the tribe lead, the stakeholders, because I look at the king, the women leader, and all of them. They are all stakeholders in this. They are part of the problem. They are the old. So you need to start identifying what the issue is, communicate, and then and based on that, you need to more or less focus on the events rather than on the personalities, because when people tell you things, they come with their own personality. But you need to focus on what the events are, what the conflicts are, and like you said, the organization. What is the process in the organization? Why are we having? You identify the issues, and you prioritize what those conflicts are, and you create an enabling environment to bring them together, to focus more, to discuss more, because by the time you focus more on identifying what the common agreement is, what they all agree on, because no matter what the conflict, there'll be like common factors in the agreement, and then get them to understand what they, you're not going to be imposing your resolution on them. You're making them to understand, to come to an agreement, to work together, to prioritize it for conflicts, and then develop a plan to work together. Because we are talking about the king is involved, which is, I would assume, is the CEO. So once the plan is agreed together with all these people, and they can develop a plan to, that is work through with the conflicts and follow through, because that's the, Scrum Master or Self-Scrum Master here, you follow through and up each of the teams to build on the success of the by making sure that, like you said, you have the slice of the cake and what can be brought together to reach an agreement to be able to resolve the conflicts, rather than we do this one first and then we do this one first. We look at the scale slicing and then identify what can be done together. So
okay,
yeah.
Can somebody else add to that in that group? Who else was in that group? Okay, Grace.
I was in that group. I think what we were concentrating on is the fact that there's a conflict, and it could have been due to lack of communication or anything that makes people not understand each other, preconceived ideas, biases, and things like that. And we just want people to voice their opinion, to tell us, to tell that Scrum Master what their thinking is and why they disagree with anything that they disagree with. Use questioning to get to the bottom of it, and then help the teams when they're together to express these things and then see from each other's point of view. And yeah, that should resolve it.
Fantastic.
So that you're just helping them. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So basically, sorry, we're talking about the for all the everybody accommodating each other and then reaching a compromise.
Yeah, that we have to get to a
compromise. And then to get a collaboration effort from each and every,
Yeah. Cool. You see how you're bringing different things from that we've covered all together in terms of, understanding structure, interaction, collaboration. I heard Shola saying something about we cannot impose our solution.
Yes.
We cannot be thinking about solution already that we want to impose. They have to come up with
it.
Okay. And that is what we're looking for in an agile environment. Franca said something about, there was something Franca said, but I didn't want to interrupt your flow. Environment. Franca said something about environment. Who creates an enabling environment? That is where in a transformation, you need leadership buy-in. In any transformation, you need leadership buy-in so that they can, remember the money is with them, the check is with them, okay? And it's not just money we need now, we also need commitment. We need them also to understand what is going on, okay? There is no right or wrong answer here because every context will be different, okay? It is knowing that, okay, in this context, which might be the right way for me to approach this. Even given the same context, different coaches, different Scrum Masters will approach them differently. Do you agree?
Yes.
Even given the same context.
Yes.
No Scrum Master in the same context, they might have different approaches to it. And it will not be wrong. It's just another way. And this is where we are covering so much so that you have your box of tools. One thing this has also brought up is stakeholder engagement. Serious stakeholder engagement skills. And in any environment, you will have different levels of stakeholders, as we have seen here. Women leader, men leader, team, program, portfolio, external stakeholders. For example, in a safe environment, you will have suppliers. You will have suppliers, you will have external contractors that are probably doing something that is required within this organization. They become external stakeholders. How do you engage with them? Okay, stakeholder management. There's what we call RACI. Some people call it RACI, some people call it RACI, R-A-C-I. Who is responsible? Who is accountable? Who needs to be consulted? Who needs to be informed? Because every stakeholder is not at the same level. Some stakeholders, they are the ones that will either make this thing, pass or fail. Okay? Yes. Some stakeholders, if you want your project to work, you better keep them in view. Make sure they are, some they just need to be informed. Some you need to carry them along. Some they are the ones accountable. So you need to know these different levels of stakeholder, management. We will look at stakeholder management, okay, at some point. Yes. So the whole point of this short exercise is to get you to begin to see the need for coordination, the need for collaboration, the need for over-communication. I will call it over-communication because one of the first rules is individuals and interactions of value of Agile. We need to communicate and communicate and communicate, okay? Identifying the relevant stakeholders, okay? And as you can see, there are a lot of roles here. Women leader, men leader, youth leader, the chief, and the king, okay? Which, like Franca said, could be the CEO. So that was just to get you to see why when we start talking about scaling, there's a lot of collaboration required and there's a lot of coordination needed here. So let us get into it. Let me go back to my slides. Thank you so much for doing that. Let me get back to my slide. I hope you can see my slides again. I'm sharing my slides now, and I hope
Yes.
you can see it. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, so I'm sharing my slides again now. We've just completed this activity, and going back to this slide, we talked about how all the teams could be using, could be getting their inputs from a higher backlog at the program level. So at the program level, this backlog is feeding the backlog of each team. Each team. So which means each team has a product owner, has a scrum master, and has a development team, okay? And they have their team backlogs individually. And then you have the chief product owner at this level. You will also have the like a chief scrum master at this level. And as you can see, by the time you get to the CEO level, you have less people. You have narrowed down the communication, because by the time you get to the CEO level, they are not looking for detail. They are looking for high-level resolutions, okay, or actions that needs to be taken. So if we begin to now start looking at the, in a safe way, the program level will have what we call a product manager, okay, a product manager. The team level, they will be working from a backlog from the program level also. Depending on what they want to achieve, each team could have their own individual backlog, or they may be organized in such a way that a few teams are using one backlog, even at the team level. Every situation might be different based on what they want to achieve, okay? So product manager at the program level, and then we have a product vision, which will then be the responsibility of the product manager to ensure that they have a product vision. At this level, we are also doing things like, product roadmap, design thinking, and what have you. All that is going on there. Now, when we start talking about scaling, we are scaling because we have several teams. We have what we call team of teams. Now, at the individual team level, we are usually talking about a maximum of 9 people in each team, a maximum of 9. So the rule usually is 7 plus or minus 2, okay? So roughly a maximum of 9. So if you go for an interview, they are telling you we have a team of 15 people, you should say that is quite a big team that we need to consider how we can reorganize into 2 teams, okay? You can ask them some of the challenges they're having, given they have 15 people in their team. Don't be surprised you go out there and you see agile teams that are 15, 16, 17. So when you come in, these are anti-patterns you want to correct, okay? Because the bigger the team, the more difficult it becomes to come to a consensus. So 7 plus or minus 2. You have a team, and it is called team of teams because you are now talking about a collection of teams, okay? And as you can see, within this diagram here, we're talking about empowering people. We're talking about making connections. We're talking about empowering teams. We are talking about stimulating shared understanding. And during the exercise, I heard everybody talking about shared understanding, shared objectives, shared problem, and stuff like that. And we are working towards a common purpose, even though we are individual teams. And within that, individual team, we may have our own sub-goal. But that sub-goal must contribute ultimately to the higher purpose, okay? Because we are all working towards a common goal. Now, in safe environments, you will hear ART. ART meaning Agile Release Train. So in a safe environment, this is an Agile Release Train, okay? This team of teams in a safe environment is an Agile Release Train. And the train consists of different teams, okay? This train, for example, is made up of 8 teams. So which means a typical ART could have up to 125 people. A typical ART could have up to 125 people, okay? Could have up to 10 teams, 12 teams, but in total, it could be up to 125 people, okay? At the program level, more or less. This is what we are talking about now. Individually, we have maybe 9 people per team, okay? But when we then look at it as team of teams, it could be up to a maximum of 125 people. Now, when we talk about an ART, we're talking about a continuous delivery pipeline, okay? We're talking about all these teams here coming together as a bigger team to continuously deliver value. To continuously deliver value. So continuously we are exploring together, so we have continuous exploration. Continuously we are integrating, and continuously we are deploying what we have integrated. Release is usually a business decision, and it is usually, release on demand. It is decoupled. We call it decoupling the release from the deployment. You deploy, but you do not necessarily release. So in continuous exploration, what is happening? We are visioning our product. We are coming up with our roadmap. We are doing personas. We are doing all sorts, data flow diagram, use case diagram. We are maybe doing a spike. We are trying to understand this product that we want to, develop together. So we continuously explore. You see, it says continuous because it's not a one-time exploration. It is not a one-time exploration. When we come together at the beginning of this project, we come up with a roadmap. But remember, that roadmap is not cast on stone. As we get more information coming in, we begin to inspect and adapt, and we continue to explore. At the end of every sprint, we do what we call an integration. We do a system demo. Remember, just like we have done, where we have our sprint review, that is to review what we have done so far. And then once we're happy with the integration, we deploy. Now, let's look at this in a little more detail. If you look at this diagram in front of me properly, you will find there's PI planning here. There's CE, CI, and CD here, and you can see goals there, which means every sprint has a goal. Now, what you have here are what you have here are 2-week sprints within a quarter. 2-week sprints within a quarter. So which means within each quarter, we will have 6 sprints, ideally. 6 sprints within each quarter. So everybody goes about what they are doing within the teams, within the Agile teams, and they now integrate. Here you have what we call IP iteration. During this 2-week sprint, what happens here is we do our integration so that all the things we have developed individually as a team, we will now integrate it into a program increment. That is why you have program increment here. So between this quarter, this is one quarter, this is another quarter. At the end of this quarter, we will have what we call a program increment. A program increment because we have integrated all the deliverables of the individual teams that make up the art. We have integrated all the deliverables of the individual teams that make up the Agile release train. In other words, the art, okay? Now, here we then have what we call PI planning. At the end of one quarter, before we can start the next quarter, we have to now plan again for another quarter. This is why when you start your project, you have a high-level roadmap. So by this time, we are looking at our high-level roadmap, just like Grace was telling us, we are doing sign in next. We are doing about us next. So at this point, we have an idea of what we want to work on next. We then go into a planning session to break things down so that all the teams that will contribute to this program increment, to the next program increment, know what they are doing as part of this increment. Okay? Now, if you look at this diagram in a little more detail, you will see that what we are seeing here is called essential safe. Essential is in itself big enough. As you can see, we have the system architect and system engineer. We have the product manager, like I said before. We have the release train engineer. The release train engineer is like your Scrum Master at the program level. Your Scrum Master at the program level. Then if you come down to the team level, you have your product owner, you have the Scrum Master, and you have the development team. At this level, the team may be working with Kanban, they may be working with XP, or they may be doing a sprint, they may be doing Scrum, okay? They may be doing Scrum, they may be doing XP, they may be doing Kanban, and as you can see, they have their backlog, okay? System and design thinking would be something we would have done at the beginning, but like I said, we continue to explore. This is why we have continuous exploration here. It is a continuous exercise, okay? We are doing design thinking because we want it to be customer centric. We want to put our customer at the center of everything that we do. Okay? We are constantly thinking about our customer. It's not about whether we like the features or not. It's not about over-engineering any feature or having a feature as a pet project. It is about concentrating on what the customer needs. You can see we have the business owner here. Okay, and we're talking about agile product delivery because we have the program level incorporated into this essential safe, and we're talking about team and technical agility. We want a team that can deliver. Okay, now roadmap, you will have a roadmap, you will have your product vision, and you have your system team. Now this system team is supporting everybody here in the art, because your system team, they will be the one that will ensure that your test environment is okay, everything to do with the environment is working fine. And they will make sure that your integration goes according to plan. They are the ones that will be involved in the release planning also and things like that. So you have the system team to make sure your environment is kosher, okay? And as you can see, we continuously integrate every 2 weeks. And at the end of 3 months, we integrate at the solution level. Release on demand, it is decoupled from continuous deployment because again, release is a business decision, okay? And as you can see, we have DevOps here. I'm still going to cover DevOps. For the most part, you can be rest assured that this team here are probably practicing DevOps. And of course, it's talking about built-in quality. Everything we are doing, the way we are organized is to ensure that there's quality delivered at the end of the day, okay? Here we're talking about safe program consultant. The safe program consultant will be able to help an organization with this infrastructure, with this framework. And of course, this roadmap here is telling us how we need to go about things if we're doing a transformation. And we need to abide by the safe principles and imbibe the lean agile mindset and core values, okay? All of this is happening at the essential level. That on its own is big enough. This is the most basic implementation of SAFE. We are not even talking about large solution SAFE, portfolio SAFE, or full SAFE yet. We are just talking about essential SAFE. So what does this mean? It means organizations can then decide based on their size, based on their need, which of this level will be suitable for their transformation. For some, essential SAFE is more than enough. For some, they need to go the whole 9 yards and, use the full SAFE framework, okay? It's a lot, but it will come to you. Now, let us use the Hackney example now. Let's use the Hackney example which we used before. So let us assume that in this case, they're only using one art because you can use more than one art. They are only using one agile release train, okay? They already have their vision, okay? They have their vision, which is to make Hackney a great place to live. And at their portfolio level, they have housing project, carbon reduction, improved public transportation, and modernized sanitation. So since they have only one art, it means they will have a roadmap that will then decide on how they want to use that art, okay? So I'm assuming we're concentrating on housing project here at the program level now. So you have a product manager, and this product manager on his backlog has the housing epics: bungalow, detached, semi-detached, block of flats. We only have one art. So which means maybe we're going to deal with the bungalow in 1 quarter, deal with the semi-detached in another quarter, detached another, and block of flats in another quarter. Because remember, we only have one art. So how we organize ourselves will be based on what we want to deliver, because we only have one art. But it is this one art that is continuously delivering value based on what is required. This singular agile release train, based on the roadmap that has been agreed, will be responsible for delivering value at different points in time from quarter to quarter. Okay, that is one scenario. Another scenario is that you are now on a layer above the program level, which is the large solution, okay? Which then means you have the portfolio, you have this large solution, you have the program, and then you have the team level. Now imagine at this point that we have multiple release trains. We have multiple arts. So which means one art is delivering the bungalow, another art is delivering the detached, another art is delivering the semi-detached, and maybe another art is delivering the block of flats. At this level, we have the release train engineer. The release train engineer is your program level Scrum Master. And the solution train engineer is your solution level sort of Scrum Master at that level, okay? Now, coming back here, let me show you this. I hope you can still see my screen. You can see that in SAFe 4.5, the program was separated from the team in SAFe 4.5. But in SAFe 5.0, they have merged it into what we now call essential SAFe. So SAFe 4.5 was separated because all these frameworks are constantly being, reviewed and enhanced. Now we have SAFe 5.0, where the program and the team has been fused together, and it makes a whole lot of sense, okay? So as you can see, the Agile release train is a continuous delivery pipeline that delivers that. But at the solution level, you may have more than one art. You may have more than one art, okay? So let me move forward a little bit. So when you have, am I going forward or backward? Let me see. Hold on, did I go forward or backwards? Okay, I went forward, okay. Okay, so like I said before, one art can deliver the entire housing project, in which case from quarter to quarter, you are doing, you are delivering different value, or it could be multiple arts, okay? So I think I've talked about this already, so let me move forward. What do I have here? Development team. So for each art, you will have your release train engineer, and then within the team, you will have your Scrum Master, okay? You will have your Scrum Master, your product owner, and your development team. And it may well be that one team is using XP, another team is using Kanban, another is using Scrum. There's no hard and fast rule that they must all use exactly the same framework. It is in large-scale Scrum that they are only using Scrum. Less, that is the less framework. For the less framework, everybody is doing Scrum. But in SAFe, at the team level, the teams could be using different framework, okay? So at the program level, remember we have the program manager, all right? So let's move forward. Now, this is just re-emphasizing what I just said, that you can have more than one art. In this case, you have one art delivering each of the value at the program level. That's what I was saying. I guess I repeated myself there. Okay, now, team level activities. At the team level, if we remember, which we have been doing for a while now, we have sprint planning, we have daily stand-up, backlog refinement, sprint review, and retrospective, okay? In a SAFe environment, that backlog, that sprint review is called system demo. That's what it's called in a SAFe environment. It's the same as system demo. So every 2 weeks, all of this is still happening in a SAFe environment within a team, a Scrum team, for example. You will still do your sprint planning every 2 weeks within the team in a SAFe environment. You will still do your daily stand-up. You will still do your backlog refinement within the team. And all of this will still happen. And at the end of the 2 weeks, you will do what we call a system demo. Now, we are calling it a system demo because remember, you are working within an art, okay? You are working within an art, which means there are other teams. This is not just one team. There are other teams within the art that you have to synchronize your demo with. We need to make sure that at the end of 2 weeks, all the things we have developed individually can be integrated. We don't want to wait until 3 months' time when we are doing the bigger integration before only to now find out that there's a problem, which we could have found out if we had done a mini system integration. So every 2 weeks we are integrating. So if we have 10 teams or 9 teams, every 2 weeks at the end of our sprint, we integrate to make sure that if there are any bugs, if there are any problems, we fix it, okay? Now, coming back here, as you can see, we have our 2-week cadence within the team. So when we talk about cadence, we're talking about the cycle. We have our 2-week cycle for the team, but at the team level, it is a quarterly cadence, okay? It is a quarterly cadence. I hope it's all making sense. So we are not going to do this activity. I'm going to move on. So what then happens, let me look at the time. We're almost there. So what then happens is that at the solution level, because at the end of our sprints, which brings us close to the end of a quarter, we then have to do what we call our IP iteration. Before this, I should have had the IP iteration. We then have what we call, if I come back here, at the end of the quarterly cadence, we have what we call the IP iteration. So I'm just going to go back to this slide. If you look here, you can see there's what we call an IP iteration here. What is happening here is that we are doing the demo of all the things all the teams have developed. We are making sure we are integrating it and that we are doing a demo to show that everything works fine. We are also doing an inspect and adapt here, just like we do our retrospective at the end of our sprint within the small team, within our 2 weeks cadence. Here, during the IP iteration, we are doing our inspect and adapt. We call it inspect and adapt in SAFe, okay? And we are also engaging our time to try and solve any problems that we may have had during the program increment, which is during the 3 months period, and also things that may present a problem for us for our next program increments, which is for the next 3 months. We are looking at risk that may affect us for the next 3 months that we're going to embark on now, okay? So all of that can then go into the PI planning. So depending on the output from here, things may now change in the backlog for our next planning, okay? So once all of this is done, just like we do within our team, where after our sprint demo, we do our sprint retrospective, and then the following week, we start another sprint for 2 weeks. Here, when we finish our IP, we then go into what we call PI planning, which is equivalent to your sprint planning at the team level. We go into PI planning for planning that will take us for the next 3 months, so that everybody knows what they are doing, they understand the dependencies, they know what is going on, okay? Now, if I go forward, I can show you a dependency map, for example. So at the end of our PI planning, all the teams will know the dependencies they have. As you can see at the bottom here, at the legend, you can see the blue is features or enablers, red is significant dependency, and yellow is milestone / event. And the string there is to show the dependencies between epics or between stories, whatever the case may be. And as you can see, we have iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3, iteration 4, and iteration 5, okay? Now, in a safe environment, remember that we have 3 months in between program increment. That means ideally we have about 6 possible sprints, because if you split that up, that's about 12 weeks. So if we then divide that by 2, that gives us about 6 sprints, if we want to look at it that way. Now, you can see here what they have done. They have used 4 of the 2 weeks, because each of these is 2 weeks. They have used 4 for their sprints, okay? This is the team level now. Iteration 1 is 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Then they have kept another 2 weeks for what we call iteration planning. This is where you do the demo, okay? This sprint here has been assigned for doing the demo, for doing inspect and adapt, and anything else. Because you see, if you use this for development, then that means you have not left yourself enough time to inspect and to adapt. That is what has happened here. So they have assigned this sprint to inspect and adapt, to solve problems and whatever else that may need to be done. Then they have assigned the 6th sprint to PI planning. So this is the week where we all come together. So if there are 10 teams, we will all come together here. We all come together here, you know, to get ready again for another 3 months, okay? And as you can see, these are major milestones and dependencies are being identified. So during a PI planning, it is for us to come together so that we can align, okay? Identify our dependencies. This is what happens during a PI planning. Alignment, identify dependency, have shared, plan how we want to use shared resources. If you remember, we talked about the system team. The system team is a shared resource, okay? So if we have more than one art, we may need more than one system team depending on how big this environment is. But a system team is available to every single team in an art. So it is a shared resource. We need to plan with them. They are the ones creating the environment for us, okay? We need to plan capacity. We need to retrospect, manage risk, refine our backlog, and do a demo of our increments, both at the 2-weekly level, but in this case, we are doing it at the 3-month level, which is quarterly. I think this is where we stop today. So when we meet tomorrow, we'll continue from here. But any questions at all? Let me stop sharing. Any questions? It was a lot, but it's relatable to what we are already doing. Relatable to what we're already doing. Any questions? Is it making sense?
Well, I actually missed a lot because my connection kept playing up while you were
dear, you will watch the video. But any questions so far? Is it clear? Is it too complicated?
Mary, it's clear and uncomplicated. Clear and very complicated.
Clear and complicated at the same time.
But basically, the way I look at it is really all the practices we do and the things we do at team level and that sort of thing, Scrum team level, obviously, it's just going up the ladder bit by bit. And the more you go up the ladder, the more complicated it becomes. And the more complicated it becomes is the more you have to have a kind of bird's eye view, in my opinion, about everything that's happening. So you're actually capturing everything that's happening at teams level, right up to those programs and coming right up there. So the relatability you're talking about is really quite complex. So those figures and those things, I have to look at it. We have to look at it probably. I mean, well, probably it's just me. I have to look at it over and over again and then see how it makes sense. But it definitely makes sense going up there because I've looked at very complex projects. You got all these building projects going on in all the boroughs and things like that. And sometimes you stand there and wonder, how are these guys work and what is really happening? You know? So basically, yeah, it makes some sense. But at the moment, it looks a bit complicated. But with time, I think it will come at ease.
Yes, it will become second nature to you. There was a time when I looked at it and I was like, what the hell is this? So yes, but with time, with constant review of the videos, with more study, it will make sense to you because what is happening at this level is now happening at this level. That's what is happening.
I also think that if you try to understand the team's level very well, it will come very not easy, but in a simple way in understanding the next level as well.
Absolutely,
So,
I agree with you. 100%.
You need to get the grips of the bottom level.
So I agree with you.
I think that's how.
You need to, because for example, the release train engineer at the art level now becomes a solution train engineer at the solution level. Let me share a picture with you. Bear with me. Let me get out of here. Let me stop sharing. Let me go to let me stop sharing. Stop share and then go to my, I think I have it open. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, I want to go into the actual What's wrong with my computer today? I want to go into the actual Scaled Agile framework. Okay. So I'm on my browser and I'm on the the Scaled Agile framework website. Okay. Now let me make my screen a little bigger so that you can see the picture properly. Okay, I'm making this slightly bigger so you can see the picture properly. So I hope you can see my screen again. Yeah? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Mary.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so like I said before, when I started SAFe, I started with 4.5. I have upgraded my certification to 5.0. It's not an easy exam, it's crazy, but somehow I managed to do it. It's quite it's just a lot. It's not that it is difficult, and that is what you will come to find out. It's not difficult at all. It's very relatable to what is happening at the team level. It's just that as you go higher up, it becomes more coordination, more roles, more interactions going on. Okay. Now, like I said before, these are the quarters. Look at these pillars as the quarters. These are the quarters. So you have program increments. If I go to large solution SAFe, okay, when I now go to the large solution, can you see I have more than one train here? There's more than one train here. That means I have two arts here. So at the solution level, I may have two rather, or three, but minimum two, because now we're talking about large solution. So minimum, you have more than one art. At this level, you probably have only one art at the essential level. The moment you cross over to the solution level, you are talking multiple arts. That means you need even more coordination, okay? Now, at the essential level, everything that is happening here is what you already know. You already know we break down our epics into features into stories. You already know we do sprint planning, sprint daily stand-up. Everything we normally do is happening here, okay? The only thing that is probably happening here now that you are not clear about or we haven't done is DevOps, which we're going to cover, okay? We're going to cover that. So try not to let it confuse you. Just look at this as a container that ensures multiple things and multiple teams can be coordinated. Because imagine we have 8 teams. Everything we have developed, first of all, we make sure that at the end of every 2 weeks, we do what we call a system demo to make sure that everything we have all developed can integrate. Because remember, we have like 8 teams or 9 teams or 10 teams, and we are developing something. We don't want to wait till the end of 3 months before we realize that things don't fit. We want to try and come together at the end of every 2 weeks. Okay, at the end of every 2 weeks. So at the end of every 2 weeks, it's not just one team doing a demo, it is several teams doing a demo. That's why we're calling it a system demo, not a sprint review. Okay, that's why it's called a system demo, not a sprint review. And then you can see there's a PI backlog here. At the end of your PI planning, there's a backlog, objective, a list of objectives. That list of objectives is like our compass to make sure we are all working towards the same objective. Okay, we are all working towards the same objective. That is our compass, so that we are not going in different directions. Okay, but everything that is happening in the team is happening here for every single team. Every team is doing their team planning. Every team is doing their daily stand-up. Every team is doing their what do you call it, demo, but in this case they are doing it together. Okay, and we are having even in this case you're also having your team retro, but you will now go and join the other teams to now have a bigger retrospective, because we as a team need to get better. We also need to get better as an art. Okay, we need to get better as a team. We also need to get better as an art. So within the team, you will do at the end of your 2 weeks sprint, you will do your team retrospective, but there will now be another opportunity to do what we call the bigger retrospective, if you like, when you do your inspect and adapt as an art. Let me stop here before our heads explode. So yeah, clear, I hope. A lot, but clear, I hope.
Yeah, I think it's clear, but you, like I said, you need to understand the bottom bit, and then you'll be able to, because basically is different teams doing different things and bringing it together.
That's it.
Okay. So whatever you do in your small team, you should expect that you do it in the integrating level as well, bringing it together. So,
and that is why we come together every 3 months.
Yeah.
To make sure we understand the dependencies between the teams.
Yeah.
To arrange how we want to work. Yeah. To identify the dependencies. So I know that team A must deliver something before team C can do something. So all that communication is happening during the PI planning. Because imagine 10 teams trying to deliver a solution. 10 teams. That's a lot of communication, isn't it? And this is why the PI planning used to be one big meeting. You remember that picture I showed you? One big room, everybody is in that room, and we are having that conversation. Yeah. We would have done our preparation before coming to the meeting. We know the epics that they want us to work on. We have an idea, and then we've identified there's a dependency with Team D. So when we get to that PI planning, we are having this discussion with Team D to say, hey, we have a dependency with you. How do we manage these dependencies together? We are not waiting to get to that sprint before we start having that conversation. And what we are trying to do with this big PI planning meeting is to ensure that we can deal with issues immediately. The executive is there. We need something. They're able to, make things happen. The executives are there to help us make things happen, because this is money being spent to deliver a solution. In fact, like I said before, sometimes when they are doing this PI planning, maybe you have a team. Now, this PI planning, the team, they are not necessarily under the same roof. So maybe you have 3 teams in Arizona. You have another team in India. You have another team in, where is close to Arizona? My geography is not very good. Maybe San Diego. There's another team in San Diego. So the teams in San Diego, maybe they will go and join the ones in Arizona. Then the ones in India will now join them with, what do you call it? Collaborative tools. So maybe there will be a big screen, like a video. So the ones in India, to save cost, will now be in a room, but they will join the, let's us assume there are 3 teams in India, 3 in Arizona, 3 in San Diego. The ones in San Diego may go and meet the ones in Arizona to physically be in the same room. This is what used to happen. To physically be in the same room. And then maybe the executives are in Arizona. Maybe there's one executive with the ones in India, and they will now come together as one whole team with the use of a video and stuff like that. So somebody is then helping to coordinate that. This is how it used to be. But now with COVID, I'm sure everybody is now doing this online, okay? Big PI planning online. It can be crazy. Imagine if it is more than one art. If it is one art, you're already talking about the possibility of 125 people, and everybody is at the meeting. Now imagine if you have 3 arts, that's already 375 people, almost. So it's a big and crazy meeting, but they often say that is where the magic happens. So yeah, Grace, are you good? Deji, are you good? Grace?
Yes, it's a lot of stuff, but yeah, I'll go through the video.
Grace? I can't hear Grace. You are muted, Grace.
Okay. Can I shoot? Thank you.
Yeah, you can shoot. Grace, I can't hear you. We can't hear you, Grace.
Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Oh.
Maybe you need to move closer to your phone or something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Yeah, it is because I had my headphones on. So
okay.
The way I see it, because after having the experience of program office, I know that's a particular advantage, is it's coordinating what we're doing on the ground level, and it's all the plans are higher level plans, and then you can identify the risks, the issues faster, and then you can actually bring solutions faster, and you can help the teams. That's the job that they do. That's the major job that they do, so that everything can work to plan.
Work to plan.
Yeah.
So as a Scrum Master, you're really helping with coordination at this level.
Yes.
Someone like Franca can be a release train engineer or a solution train engineer.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Easily. Yes. Franca can take that job because you're already working in that area where you are coordinating releases from different teams. So it's a role. Solution train engineer or an RT is something Franca can do easily. Henry, how are you?
I'm fine.
How's it for you?
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay, good. Delia, are you good?
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Ndidi, are you good? Yeah? I know it's a lot of information.
Yes, I am. I'll definitely watch the video again.
Yes, yes, that's all it takes. Just watch the video again. Don, from what Don said earlier, I think I see you get the picture. Mr. T, watch the video again and you'll be fine, okay? And of course, as usual, if you have any questions, anybody at all, please call me. Because these days, organizations that are using SAFe are looking for safe Scrum Masters, okay? So everything you already know about Scrum Master applies, but on top of that is now understanding the essential SAFe framework. How do you operate within, that environment? How do you relate to the system engineer? How do you relate to the other roles? The program manager. How does the backlog work in this case? The PI planning. So when we meet tomorrow, we'll look at the PI planning in a little more detail. Okay. So have a good Saturday, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Mary, just before you go, just this acronym, I might take you backward. The PI plan, is it program
increment? Program increment.
Program and the increment.
Yes, and the IP iteration is the iteration planning.
So that is program increment planning.
Yes, every 3 months, and that happens every 3 months. The program and the PI planning happens every 3 months because we are talking about the program level. Okay, happens every 3 months. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Have a fantastic Saturday, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tomorrow. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Yeah. See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.